Hey guys, Jester here. Welcome to another edition of Storytime with Jester. Today's episode I will be going over the Drow Series D1 through 3. The original two modules were individual modules, but in 81 they combined them into this one D1-2 module set. They originally, all three were tournament modules in 78 and then made into modules for play by the general public. The first two, D1 was called the Warren of the Troglodytes, and D2 was Shrine of the Kuatoa. D3, Vault of the Drow. So basically, after the players finished up the defeating the giants in the previous Giant series, they found clues that led them underground and on a journey towards the Queen of the Demon Web Pits, although they're not realizing this when they first go underground. I'll have to say, I first encountered these modules as a player, and they are definitely not for the weak of heart, or I should say faint of heart and weak of mind. We soon discovered that our 5 players needed to play 2 characters apiece, so that we would have 10 characters going through this, and I'm about to tell you why. Reading from the Vault of the Drow here, on page 2, which is really the first text page, this says, "Caution. This module, as all of the others in the series, has been designed strictly for use by experienced players with high-level characters. It demands a degree of ability which cannot generally be attained merely by allowing an inexperienced group to adventure with powerful characters. If your players have already played in one or more of these modules, you will be familiar with the caution sections therein, and they will be aware of the challenges they can expect. If by some chance this is the first module for your group, it is recommended that, besides going right out and purchasing modules G1, 2, and 3, and D1 and 2 to begin with instead, you give your players a chance to survive by observing the following. Number 1. The composition of the party must be well balanced with respect to magic users and fighters, and at least 1 thief and 2 clerics should be along. Number 2. The average level of the group should be about 10th, and each character should have magic items commensurate with his or her level of experience. And number 3. There is no instant retreat from this underworld, as teleportation will not function properly so deep beneath the ground, and the party must be both strong and numerous enough to trek in and face what they discover, then manage to come out alive. 8 or 9 characters is not an excessive party number, and 6 is the minimum number that should attempt this module." So, yeah. It has some wondrous maps. This is actually the main map right here of the whole trek underground to get from the fire giant lair to the Vault of the Drow. This map does not appear in D3 Vault of the Drow. It actually references everybody back to this map. So unless you own D1 and 2, you pretty much don't know where you're going in D3. So you have all of the different passages that they would go through there. This is the Shrine of the Kuatoa, and Then on the back side, you have the warrens of the troglodytes. Awesome maps. Great surroundings. If you were originally always playing above ground, you'd encounter, your miscellaneous creatures here and there. But for the most part, the things that you encounter down here is things that you would never have seen before, or just more numerous of things that you would encounter in various cavern situations in the upper world. The party, unless they can find a little safe haven off on one of the side passages to rest, you're getting assailed by attacks pretty much non-stop through this whole trek that you're going through. Drow is numerous in these passages, and they have some very unique combat tactics. And yeah, I mean, after you get through the Warren of the Troglodytes and the Shrine of the Kuatoa, then you get closer and closer to the actual Vault of the Drow, which is the home city of the Drow population here in the world of Greyhawk. Now, of course, Forgotten Realms had their own version of this, but Greyhawk came out first, so this Drow city, in my mind, is the Drow city. Now, in my last video, I attempted to show you this miniature here. The lighting was horrible, and you didn't really get a good picture of what was displayed, and I don't know if this is going to be any different, but we're about to find out. But the bottom line is, the picture here on the front is the miniature that was made here in my hand, and all the miniatures that you see in any of my videos, except for one or two here and there, I've painted myself. So this came unpainted, and so I attempted to, take off from this and paint it the way it was intended to be painted. So hopefully you can see that. And I'm going to come around here and get a little bit closer to the camera just to make sure to see if you can or not. But if not, then we will just move on. But again, for reference, there you go. Alright. Now, one thing of note, however, with this depiction here, you see that the Drow priestess has both a tentacle rod and a demon staff. Just to clarify, a Drow priestess would not have possession of both items, for the simple reason that the tentacle rod was a special magic item that House Eelserves wielded for specific reasons, and the demon staff was a special magic item that House Despana would have wielded, and both Despana and Eelserves were enemies of the other. So there would not be one single Drow priestess that had possession of both magical items for that reason. So just wanted to clear that up. But great piece of artwork, nevertheless. So anyway, that's all I wanted to say on that. So yeah, the Drow, this was when they were first introduced into Dungeons and Dragons. Nobody had ever heard of them before, and surely nobody had encountered any before, because unlike Dritz from Forgotten Realms, Drow didn't just show up above ground and start doing things. So, a player's first encounter back in the day with the Drow was in the giant fortresses, and of course that's what basically got the players to chase after these creatures, because it's like, what is this race of beings? So anyway, just to give you an example of what you're going to encounter down here, these are the wandering monster tables. So like I said, you got a crap ton of Drow. Giant slug, purple worm, troglodytes, rust monsters, fire beetles, fungi, shriekers, subterranean lizards, demons, spiders, undead, bugbears, puddings, jellies, oozes, you got lurkers, and that's pretty much shambling mounds, giant ants, crap ton of stuff. And like I said, it's all over the place. I mean, it's basically like, just imagine yourself shrinking like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids type thing, and you're now down on the ground with all of the creatures, bugs, and everything. They're down there, and they're just, you encounter them everywhere you go. You bump into them just turning around, that sort of thing. That's the kind of encounters that you have down here. It's just endless. And so, yeah, unless you can find a place to sleep and rest, regain hit points and spells, you're pretty much screwed. Now, again, like in my last video, I said you're going to be seeing this for a little while here. This is the combination of the entire 7 module series, which was G1 through 3, D1 through 3, and culminating with Q1, Queen of the Demon Web Pits. Unlike the first set, the Giant series, where there was the prologue and chapters 1 and 2 that did not appear in any of the books, that basically gave you extra material, led you up to the Giant series. Pretty much after that, it's just the modules, one after the other. There's not a whole lot of anything new. They might have changed names, or not changed names, but made names for some of the NPCs. Might have changed a couple little editing things here and there, but for the most part, it's just straight up going through the modules after the Giant series starts. So not a whole lot to say about this book in today's video, but I do really like this book, just for the sheer fact that it does have that extra material in the beginning, and it just kind of ties everything together, and you have it all nifty packaged into one book, so you don't got to have 7 books spread out all over the place, or go to your shelf every time to pull down a new one. The only thing about having this book is you don't have the wonderful large maps. So it's kind of a trade-off, whatever your preference, I suppose. But again, like I said, you know me, I like artwork. Got a pair here that I'm not going to go into detail, because you'll just have to play it and find out what those characters are. But yeah, the artwork is just phenomenal. D3 doesn't seem to actually have a whole lot of artwork. There's some there. You've got the first Neblin, another version of the lady on front. You got that's just the Shrine of the Kuatoa there. Of course, I love this picture here of the guy getting his brain sucked out by the mind flare. Got some new creatures here, the Germlane. You still get the maps, but just not in a little nifty cardboard style. And we got some more artwork here. And on the front there. So that about wraps it up for today's episode. I don't have any neat miniature terrain for Vault of the Drow. Pretty much you've got your Drow. There's a whole crap ton of different types of creatures that just are too numerous to try to get miniatures for, paint, and put into a cohesive terrain setting. So I didn't do it. But the next video, when I go over Queen of the Demon Web Pits, I do have a terrain setting with the miniatures that I hope and I'm sure that you will enjoy quite immensely. So until then, and as always, see you soon.